What's going on, friends, role players, and everyone in between? It's been a while, and we're back. We're going to talk about a couple of Kickstarter things. We're going to talk about Orbtoberfest, which is 4 months away. How is that happening? And yeah, just a general catch up. Zero prep is the way we do it. Let's dive in. So, thank you for joining. I hope you're well. With Devious Dungeons, Foreboding Forests, and The Coolest Cat, my name is Phil, and welcome back to the Dark Orb. Wait, it has been so long. It's been so long that I don't even know if the live chat thing is working. So, it might just be that we get nobody there because the thing is broken. We'll find out. How are you? I hope you're well. It has been a while. We've got Orbtoberfest coming up in Nottingham, in the heart of the Midlands in the UK, in 4 months' time. And it is going to be awesome. We do actually have some GM slots already filled. We're hoping to get 10 to 12 games for our little convention in a pub in the middle of Nottingham. We're about halfway there, so that means that we've got like 4 slots left. If you want to run a game in a community, hey, it was working. DJ La Boss, amazing to see you. And in fact, we're going to talk all about UK Games Expo in a short while. We had a great time. That is the amazing Brendan LaSalle right there. Yes, it is. And we got to play Dungeon Crawl Classics at his table, which was amazing. If you ever wondered what it would be like to be in a metal band called Aluminium, that's an American band, well, you should have been there. Oktoberfest this year is going to be awesome. It is in a pub in Nottingham at the Old Salutation Inn, and the tickets will go on sale as soon as we've filled up enough of the GM slots to make it viable. So come along, run a game, get free entry, or don't run a game and pay to join. That kind of thing. People who are running a game will get early choice on which game they want to play. If you're only running one game, you get to play one game because we'll have 2 sessions. 2 sessions. Otherwise, you can run 2 sessions or run 0 sessions and play 2 games. We have an incredible raffle happening as well, and I'll share with you right now before we do our first Kickstarter kind of overview what one of the raffle prizes are. We've got a few. In fact, so far we've got maybe 8 or 9 raffle prizes. So think about it. 35 people, 10 to 15 prizes. Your odds of winning something amazing are really high. And some of these prizes have been donated by publishers. Some have been donated by the Dark Orb. And here's one of those. You can guess whether this is from a publisher or from the Dark Orb. Mutant Core Classics, core rulebook. Amazing, amazing fun. So if you are into gonzo kind of post-apocalyptic weirdness with a D20 kind of core, but that wonderful, wonderful dice chain and just tables galore and absolute insanity at the table, plus mutations and magic, Mutant Core Classics is your go-to. And you could win this just by coming to the Oktoberfest event the first Saturday of October and buying a raffle ticket. So that's the first of many. I'll reveal one more raffle prize later on. Let's talk about Kickstarters. There are a few going on right now. There is one happening for a Dungeon Crawl Classics product, and you should definitely check that out, but we're not going to talk about that today. Sorry, Brendan. We are going to start off talking about, I think, Nightwatch would be a good one to start with. So let's have a good look at Nightwatch. This is a really interesting little role-playing game. The system is quite cool. But should we first check out the trailer? I think we should. Let's do that.
Greetings and welcome to an alternate 19th century, a time when anomalies called rifts are appearing across the globe. gateways to other worlds, some of which are feral, but others are home to lost civilizations whose mechanical marvels remain. This caused an influx of technological innovations, but also alien threats who seek to plunge the world into peril. The Association of Ishtar is the first line of defense, observing the invaders and their collaborators from the shadows, like an eternal night watch. Explore other worlds, or dive into an alternate past in which futuristic technologies clashes with the uncanny. Nightwatch is a fast-paced light tabletop RPG set in the Association of Ishtar universe by Bonsard Vocal. It's an easy-to-learn skill check system. Its fortune cards allow players to bring combat environments to life. Play as whatever you like, a mech pilot, a racketeer selling trophies and technology to the highest bidder. Protect the world or embrace the change. It is up to you in Nightwatch. Coming this May to Kickstarter.
Abruptly, the sound ceased. Okay, so let's dig into it. Nightwatch is a steampunk TTRPG set in the universe of cosmic mystery. And looking into it a little bit, I was kind of immediately thinking, I wonder if this is like a Terry Pratchett type thing, but it's not. It is a steampunk thing, and the description says that you can become a puppet master and take your friends to a time when anomalies called rifts cause an influx of advanced technology and alien threats, which I think is kind of cool. So it kind of explains how come steampunk has become a thing, right? Because ultimately there is an inroad for that technology to come in. You take the role of an operator in one of the factions and you explore other worlds or dive into an alternate past. I'm not familiar with the Association of Ishtar by Bonsard Vocal. But I think there's a podcast that's associated with this, and there are a number of archetypes, as we can see. So you have investigative scientists, associates, casket girls, puppeteers, airborne dragoons, and engineers. And what I thought was really interesting, and I'm sorry I haven't checked out the quick start guide for this yet, but we should definitely look at that. We can discuss that in our Discord. The link will be down below once we've finished this episode, because I failed to get that link in earlier. We should definitely discuss that. What I thought was really interesting was the system, which I know is here. So this system reminds me an awful lot of Savage Worlds. And Savage Worlds is I have a love-hate relationship with, because ultimately the system on paper looks really streamlined, but what I've found in the past is that it can get super crunchy. Let's take a look. So to pass the check, you roll 2 dice. First one is your skill, and the second is the boon die. So the skill die is like your agility, or how good you are at the type of challenge you're going to be facing up against. I haven't quite passed what the boon die is. I guess it's just, this is just like having the wild die in Savage Worlds, isn't it? So you roll a d6, and then if you hit the highest number, does it sound familiar, on either of those dice, then they surge, which is the exploding dice that you get. Is it rolling an ace? I can't remember now. In Savage Worlds, it's been a while, and they keep surging or keep on exploding. If you roll a 10 or higher on a target number 5 challenge, then you score an additional success or do an additional damage. If you roll double, if you roll snake eyes, but any double, I think it's double 1, I apologise, then you get a critical fail. So yeah, it is kind of a complete copy or partial copy of Savage Worlds, but the question is whether or not they've actually then simplified other areas, because Savage Worlds is really fun, but there are times when it kind of feels pretty sucky, to be honest with you. It can get super crunchy, so it really depends on how they're doing the other areas around the system, things like your proximity to other players and advantage and that sort of stuff. The setting though is quite interesting. So the art is gorgeous, and you can see here Johan Alexander is doing some really interesting things, and as it's an established setting, an established world, there's quite a lot to pull from. So I would hope that what that actually ultimately means is that there's potential for more books coming on down the line. I, for one, I'm pretty time poor and I find it really hard to create original adventures. So my hope for this IP is, because there's quite a lot already, that they might be publishing quite a lot of adventures, scenarios, as well as specific hooks to help GMs that are time poor to still create content for the table. But there's lots of short stories that you can use. There are video series, for example, here. So it's quite a lot to find. Intended, as it says here, to be enjoyed by veteran DMs, veteran players, as well as new players, which is great. So it's not expecting you to know an awful lot already off the bat. I think that's really helpful. So it really gives an opportunity for diversity at the table with new players as well as established players, which I think is great. So yeah, there's quite a lot of content available, and in terms of what you can get, you've got the core rulebook, which contains all the rules. You get the player's guide as well. I'm a little bit grumpy about that. I think I know that a lot of games do it, where you have a rule book for the GM and then a player's guide, and I think it's very useful. But it depends on whether that means that there's just too much crunch or too much in the way of rules that then leads to, as a GM, you needing to read two separate books, for example. If actually everything that's in the player's guide is also in the GM's books, the core rule book, then that's great. But if actually you've got different stuff in each, it can become inaccessible, more inaccessible than you might imagine for new players. So that can suck. Right, let's have a look at reasons to back this. And it's been around for a little while, so I'm not sure. So it's about the first 48 hours. I think it's been around for more than that now, so we can probably disregard that. But if you had backed in the first 48 hours, you get the ebooks for free. I'm not entirely sure that's a bonus, but it's kind of one of those things that for me, I like to have the PDFs as a reference guide. I'm not going to pay extra for them. If you pay €75, you get a mention in the rule books. €125, you get beta access. So you're paying for the privilege to fix their game. 165, you get a mention or shout out in a video, as well as a mention in the rule books. And €325, get your likeness, a character or OC. Brain's not helping me with that. In there. So, and every pledge comes with digital character sheets and handouts. Physical pledges get 2 sheets and physical stretch goals. So there's a starter set. The starter set is, it's not really a starter set if it's got the full books. To be honest with you, that's more like a just a complete basic bundle, right? But you get the books, you get some cards, and some dice, and that costs how much? Starter set 2. What's starter set 1 then? Oh, we'll dig into those in a minute. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so you can buy the starter set, but there doesn't seem to be a starter set. Weird. Miniature STLs, so if you've got a 3D printer or access to one, then you can print out models that they've had commissioned. And you can get a paperback, a couple of paperbacks by the looks of things. They're calling them law supplements, but they are, paperback books. Then you've got, I presume this is again STLs of mechs and another paperback. Although that doesn't look like a paperback, so I'm a bit confused. This one looks very much like a hardcover. And then the Reader collection, which has got some additional stuff. You can get your picture turned into something for the book. You can get drawn in. And at retail, you can get multiple copies. And then there's a bunch of add-ons. Okay, the dice look pretty. A big fan of having foil forged or foiled dice, so you can actually read the damn numbers. That's really important. And then there's a number of novels and anthologies and ebooks and more stuff, more mechs and some postcards, a colouring book. Goodness me, there's a lot of components to this. Right, let's see if we can uncover what you get in your... okay, so we're talking about the Player's Guide versus the Games Master's Guide. So, the GM Guide has got advanced rules and an overview history of everything, character creation. They've both got that. Okay, so it looks to me like, in answer to my earlier question, you don't need to read both if you're the GM. You can get away with the GM Guide, although it's probably worth having a copy of the Player's Guide so that you know what your players have got. If you're buying both, you can put the Player's Guide on the table and you can run from the GM's Guide, and it's probably what most people would do. So that's not too bad. They have a Discord community, which is great, and then stretch goals, quite a few. So where are we at the moment? Let's have a look, because they haven't bothered to put on here an indication of where we've gotten to. So, okay, they're 3, 5, 10, 12. And if we go up here, okay, so in euros, we're at 6.5. So scrolling all the way back down again. Keep going. So we've now got the illustrated bookmark, including a handout. Okay. So we're not far away from some one-page adventures. And that's when we start getting other things like ebooks and other stuff. And the core rulebook rewards, that's really hard to track, because we can see how many backers there are for each of these levels, but 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 backers. So not a huge number of backers yet. And honestly, given how much there is in here, 18, 19, 20, I'm kind of not surprised. 32, 34, 51 or something. I don't know. Maths, arithmetic. So we're looking at about 50 ordered, so we're not quite here yet. But here's the question. When you consider that those core rulebooks, you might get multiples and you get add-ons and stuff as well. How are they tracking that? That would be really interesting to know. Right, anyway. Early bird has passed. So we know that now. So we can ignore the early birds. They're all gone. And the paperback player mecha bundle, which gets you, I guess, if you're a fan of the universe of the pre-existing products, but you didn't actually care about the role-playing game, then you might jump on and get the player mecha bundles, which gets you books and miniatures. They're all gone. So we can scroll down. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit on this if I can. There we go, just to try and make things a little bit easier for me. Right, so for 50 euros, which is a really heavy place to start, you get a PDF of the rulebook, the player's guide, and a card set to print yourself. That's an awful lot of money for PDFs. Now, I am a fan of pricing PDFs at a premium, because basically they're expensive to produce. But this feels like a really high barrier to entry to me. As a place to start, that seems a bit much. Yeah, you can pledge without a reward, but what do you get for that? So that is concerning. Printable miniatures, a set of 11 STLs, again 50 euros is quite a lot. Or 55 euros for the Puppet Master's Guide. 70 euros for, and that's at least in print, I would presume. Yes, hardcover. €70 gets you digital player stuff, so that's STLs, the player's guide, and that's it. 73, so a whole $3 more gets you PDF core rulebook, the player's guide. It's not. Oh, okay, sorry. It's player tabletop versus the Puppet Master. So the Puppet Master gets you different PDFs. Hardcover Puppet Master Plus. Oh, okay, so Puppet Master is the GM book, I guess. So GM book plus a printable basic fortune card set. So you get the PDF that you have to print yourself by the sound of things. €10 for the advantage of then taking a PDF to go to a printer and get them to print it, unless you're going to print it yourself. Feels not like something I would be personally jumping onto, but the product seems cool. Then we're looking at €90 for a bunch of PDFs and some STLs. €90 to supply your picture and get a digital bust style drawing to use as an avatar. Okay, starter sets. The full colour interior cool rule book. Okay, so we didn't get that before, or did I just miss it? I must have just missed it. No, it doesn't say that before. So this implies that you can only get the Kickstarter exclusive full colour interior cool rulebook and fortune card set and the basic miniature set if you buy the starter set 2, although I haven't seen a starter set 1 yet. €90 for a book and some, I presume, some 25% on the, I don't understand that, 25% on the basic miniature set. Details, give me details. I should have done this to begin with. Oh, there we go. Right. So again, it's still the STLs. So they mean 25% off. And then you've got all these additional add-ons. Okay. Miniature set deluxe. Again, is STLs with a deluxe miniature expansion, whatever that means. I guess it just means you get more STLs. Again, this is not miniatures. This is the digital files from which you can print the miniatures yourself or send them to someone with a with a 3D printer. Brendan's saying, busks only. Can they work up sketch of just my tush? I want them to get my best side. I mean, yeah, it is a fine tush, Brendan. Jay, thank you so much for your question about my birthday. It wasn't bad. We were going to do a role-playing game, but one of our players, this is a private game, but one of the players unfortunately had some connectivity issues. So a couple of us just jumped on Zoom and chatted for a little bit and then attempted to have an early night, which kind of failed. I've had man flu for a while. It's just finally begun to go, which is why this particular episode did not happen earlier in the week. This was going to be done on Monday. Wouldn't have been a Kickstart your weekend then, but it would at least have been, content. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, I'm still... The pricing on this Kickstarter feels a little bit prohibitive for me. I mean, definitely for me. But yeah, full readers collection. Okay, a paperback, not a hardcover, and a PDF of some books. Now, paperbacks are not necessarily that much cheaper than hardcovers to produce, but it's not what I'm getting at. It's €105, £90 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. If they're just paperback, like novel size, that's a lot of money. Puppet Master's Lore Bundle, a hardcover core rulebook. Is this the Kickstarter? Yes, it's the Kickstarter exclusive full colour version, which it implied we didn't. I'm going to go back in a minute. It implied we didn't get it with the basic level. Card set, basic fortune cards. Are these at least like printed this time? I think they are. It implies that they are. Lore book, Rising Tide. Oops. I just accidentally re-shrunk the chat window. I should really lock that. But I'll do that now. Lock. Or not. There we go. Boom. I'm so good at this. Right. Puppet Master's Lore Bundle. Excuse me. You get the core rulebook, the cards, a paperback lore, a paperback anthology. So yeah, £105 to get a hardcover book, some cards which are quite expensive to print, to be fair, and a couple of paperbacks that we've established are about £12 each. Get drawn in. This is one of the things we were talking about earlier on. Full body coloured illustration of your likeness. I still don't know what OC means. Anyone in the comments have any idea what OC stands for? Like Orange County, right? Original character. Maybe that's what they mean. I'm guessing. Yeah. Okay. So for 105, 125, or £105, £106, you get a picture. Then you got your retail tier. Oh, there's the starter set. So your starter set 2 is before your starter set 1. Interesting. So you get your hardcover core rulebook, the Puppet Master Manual, the paperback player's guide, card set 1, and some dice. So okay, you get dice. So it's 20. Okay, so the normal one, you get your hardcover rulebook, digital cards, and a miniature set. Whereas for €35 more, you get physical cards and a player's guide and the dice set. So yeah, if you're invested, that's probably worth it. Doctor's Library, paperback, and PDF of all of that stuff. You still don't have the core rulebook or any of the role-playing stuff in that level. So if you want that, you're going to have to go for this one, maybe. A paperback. Oh, it feels messy. So you get the Puppet Master Manual, the Associate's Guide, but it says paperback and PDF. So does that mean that if you go for the most expensive version of this product, you get a paperback version of the core rulebook? That's how it reads. I'm not going to go digging through the updates and the FAQs and the comments. That's something for the creator to consider. And then if we go back to here, this does say the hardcover core rulebook versus this one that says, again, the core rulebook. Where was it where we were being told about the exclusive full colour version? Here, hardcover core. So the description is the same in terms of the product item that's included. It says hardcover core rulebook, the Puppet Master Manual on all of them. But the description implies different products. I gotta say, whilst I'm intrigued by the setting, this campaign's a mess. What a downer. Man, tell me what your thoughts are. Am I just being overly critical here, or is this something that you can kind of empathize with? Oof. Yeah. That said, if I were to back one of these, if I wanted to jump on, I would be getting the starter set, the standard starter set, which gets you your 4 items. You get the exclusive full colour core rulebook, the Associate's Guide, which I think was the player's guide, the card set, and the dice. We all love dice. So that's what I would go for. Am I going to back it? Honestly, no. And that's not just because I'm trying to cut down. Whilst this universe is probably awesome and the art is fantastic and I love steampunk, it's just a bit too messy. It's a bit too scrappy. Now, I will say that this guy has, this team, apologies, have created stuff before. They've created a few things, the Casket Girls, Mecha Adventure, basically other products in this universe. So they know what they're doing. They have produced successful Kickstarters by the looks of things. So if you are invested and you like the look of it, I don't think this is a scam or anything like that. I think you're going to get exactly what you're expecting to receive. For me, though, I kind of feel like this is, I don't know, it just feels like it's somewhat missing something. It's the attention to detail isn't there, and that's bugging me just a little bit. What do you think? Is this something you're going to back? Are you excited? Do you like the look of the IP? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments, and come and discuss it with us in Discord, because that's what we do around here. Ah, that was interesting, right? I was expecting something slightly different out of that. I did run into that being super excited about it, and it feels like I've started with a bit of a Debbie Downer, right? Sorry about that. UK Games Expo was amazing this year. That was over at the NEC in Birmingham last weekend, and we had a lot of fun. I actually only played in one game in terms of scheduled games. That was Dungeon Crawl Classics by the amazing Brendan LaSalle. Shout out to everyone at the table, to Dan, to Erin, to I broke Mark. To Mark, you're a bloody legend, Mark. I'm really sorry. And yeah, Brendan, you run the best DCC there is. Every one of your adventures is awesome, and especially when you're GMing it. And I know you're watching, but I would say that regardless. And yeah, we had great fun. That particular adventure was really wild. We were playing a heavy metal. Well, we decided it was heavy metal, kind of proggy band in the 60s and 70s, I think. And we had to deal with the fact that the Blue Oyster Cult had not shown up, which was great. So we, as our band, had to try and step up. But then things happened, and we ended up somewhere else. That's as much as I'm going to spoil. Brendan can let us know the name of the adventure down below, and then you can look out for that next time there's a convention with Dungeon Crawl Classics and Brendan is running the show, and you can jump onto that scenario, because I bet that won't get published, but it was one of my favourite adventures that we've done. Honestly though, X-Crawl Classics is my favourite of the Dungeon Crawl Classics type settings and books, and so that's where I would be looking. And there is an X-Crawl Classics book that's going to be in the raffle, but I'm not going to show that to you today. The next book that we're going to be putting into the Oktoberfest raffle, the next item, there you go, And You Will Know Us by the Trail of the Dead, or And You Will Know the US by the Trail of the Dead. Trial of the Dead. Trial of the Dead. It's an interesting one. Oh yeah, and the other thing we did at UKG is we ran through the Dark Room, not the Dark Orb, the Dark Room, which is John Robertson's amazing live show. It's been going for God knows how long, like 7 or 8 years now. It's like a choose your own adventure game, but it's an entertainment show where everyone who plays it dies. Although you don't have to, but you probably will. So we did that, and then I played some demo games. Actually, exclusively played some Monty Cook demo games, because we really want to get Cypher System to the channel, because Cypher System is wild. And the only reason that we haven't so far has been, well, there's been some personal stuff, and also we just need to get a party together. So if you are in our Discord and you would like to join the Dark Orb for some Cypher System adventures, and you happen to be a patron, then you might just get the opportunity, and they may or may not be recorded for posterity and to come onto this channel, or they might just be patron only exclusives. We shall see. Brendan, stop typing in your lap, try typing on the keyboard. Right, the next thing that we've got going into the raffle, provided by the Dark Orb, is Hell Knight. And Hell Knight is an amazing book game by Gabriel Quiroga, famous for Warpland, Neurosity, and others. And I'm just going to read the back of this because it's so cool. It's really cool. Hell, the dimension of pain and spiritual atonement, has suffered an insurrection. Its ruler has gone missing, and the domain is convulsed by the inefficacy of a headless hierarchy. A few archons, powerful demons who rule over the circles, have escaped their obligations and are wreaking havoc on Earth. Now a celestial herald from the cohorts of heaven has come with an ultimatum. You have until dawn to remove the deserters from the realm of man, or else we will storm your gates. It is your solemn duty to hunt down these dangerous demonic fugitives. Gather your unholy arms, armor, and cursed relics. The fate of cosmic balance lies in your hands. An infernal choir has been summoned to honor your quest and bid farewell as you blaze through the gates of torment on your thundering hell ride. Your strength is as great as your determination as the fire that consumes your rage. Welcome to Hell Knight. And in case you couldn't guess, and let's see if I can get a slightly better picture. There you go. You can see that there. You're all freaking Hell's Angels. How amazing is that? I mean, not literally Hell's Angels, because that's like copyrighted and stuff, but you're a biker gang and you have to save the world. This is a game that I really need to get to the table. I've got 2 copies, my own personal copy and the one that I've got for Oktoberfest. Oddly enough, neither of them have popped out of their shrink wrap, so I've been looking at the PDF. Yeah, I just need to get my head around the system, because Gabriel makes these incredible games, but they're so lightweight in terms of the system that it actually confuses my brain, because I love low effort role-playing games with like rules light role-playing games. But if they're really rules light, something doesn't work in my brain. So yeah, we'll try and get this to the table at some point. We'll try and record it. More importantly, you can win a copy of it at Oktoberfest, October the 4th, maybe? We'll double check that. October the 4th. So come along. Tickets will be available hopefully within the next few weeks. If you're a GM, then depending on how many games you're running, your entry will be discounted or free. And we will be having a pre-party on the Friday, probably at Neon Raptor, because Neon Raptor is amazing and there's nearby pizza, which is divine, on the Friday night in Nottingham. And then Sunday, we might hang out and go for Sunday lunch somewhere in the British tradition. Yes. We have some spam. Begone, foul spam. I can't get to the spam killer from here. So, yeah, that's annoying. Let me see what I can do. I need a producer. That's what I need. Come be my producer. I'll give you 50p. Yeah, so that was Hell Knight. That's coming up. It's going to be incredible. And that's a thing you can win at Oktoberfest. Let's dive in, shall we, to the next game. You ready for this? We are going to be looking at Astra Arcanum. Hopefully this is going to... Hey, it worked. Boom. Meanwhile, I really want to try and kill that thing, but it's not going to work. Muted chatters. No, screw it. You're just going to have to deal with some spam on here. Sorry, guys. Right. Astra Arcanum is a really interesting sci-fi tabletop RPG. I must confess, I haven't had enough time to delve into this, so let's watch the video together. I think this looks really cool. It reminds me an awful lot of the Genesis in terms of the style. So you might know I've got like 9 million of Genesis books there. So there is that. In terms of what it's all about, we'll dive through in a second. I like it a lot. So I'm just going to refresh that so that we get to see it. Right, so it is a sci-fi RPG. It does seem like it's pretty post-apoc, which is a good thing. A deep tactical, deadly combat, vast modular character creation suite, built atop a D20 dice pool. So it is kind of interesting. What I've read of it so far, before we go into the setting, because I need to look at that with you, is that effectively your ability to do something, your aptitude in a given challenge will create a dice pool of D20s. I think you need to roll generally greater than a 15 to get a half decent success, and the number of successes you have equates to the degree of success. So, for example, the amount of hits you might do with an automatic weapon was the example that was given. What's different is that when you are in combat, you are targeting components of a person. So you might be targeting, if it's a person, I guess the arms, the legs, whatever. If it's a mech, then similarly. So you're treating your targets as a compound of various hotspots that need to be dealt with, which is great. I mean, it's different. It does mean that it might get quite crunchy. These guys have got a really big history of and I say guys, these people, these creators have a real history of producing good products. So this will be a fantastic product. Take care, Brendan. Lovely to see you, man. Yeah, they've got a bunch of stuff, and I like that they are not only dedicated to producing high quality content, but as I say here, they're not using AI. They are building a universe that is going to grow and grow again, a bit like the Genesis. Well, not so much now, but at the time. They do have a proven track record. We can talk about that later on. And they're a professional team. They've got dedicated customer support because they are a long-standing real company, Metis Media. They've won any awards for various things, I think, or maybe just one thing. We'll probably find out in a minute. The Astra Arcanum series is really well received, and this is a sci-fi variant. I've got a bunch of stretch goals, and we'll just jump back up here to see how it's doing. So it's £176,000 at the moment, so $240,000, just shy of that. Still 2 weeks on this, and what that means is that they are blazing through the stretch goals. So if we get back down here, we are now at this point here, and they're actually telling you, unlike that last pledge where last campaign where you had to guess and keep scrolling up and down on a very long campaign. These guys are telling you where they're at, or where we are at as a community, and what's coming up is another adventure zine. So we get pre-gen characters, which we're going to probably make anyway. Soundtrack, yep, that would actually be an expense. They might have been wanting to do that anyway, but hey, now they are. VTT assets, they're not necessarily free. It depends on which VTT we're talking about. But certainly the digital tokens still takes some time to break those out from whichever artwork they already had. Adventure zines, great. Expansions included in the core rule set. Starship design. Some of this stuff I think they were going to probably do anyway and would just end up in the core rulebook, and they just, whether or not they actually wanted to tell you ahead of time. But graphic novel, probably not. So that's definitely something new. And then a companion app. So that's where they're ending. You can infer from the sheer size of this graphic and how much is missing that they've produced more versions of this graphic that they'll upload as and when it's appropriate. Rules and mechanics, as I said earlier on, is a D20 dice pool, and the core design philosophy is the more you do something, the more dice you roll. Okay. So, hang on, let's Oh, okay. So what they mean is if you are doing something en masse, like using an automatic weapons versus a single fire weapon, you will roll more dice because you are trying to do more things. Kind of makes more sense. So if I'm firing something that's got a rate of fire of, I'm going to guess 6, you might be rolling 6 dice. Whereas if you're firing a sniper rifle, you're going to fire 1 die. So that does improve your chances of success, I guess, when you're doing multiple things at once. But maybe that's then weighted in a different way so that it kind of balances out. Players' preferred fighting style means the difference between high octane engagements of blood, shells, and magic with dozens of dice thrown, and yeah, I did read that properly. And a meticulous setup pinpoint strike from the shadows of an unaware target, the flick of single buffed up d20. This is where it gets interesting. So one of the core aspects is targeted damage system. This is what I was referring to earlier. So you're actually effectively calling out what you want to be hitting, I guess. So you can accumulate minor wounds, stress and exhaustion. Almost all combat encounters are decided by taking out the vital systems of the enemy, systemic wounds. All attacks have 3 levels of success: grazing, precise, and critical. And I think I remember saying, I think here, this is almost impossible to see. I wonder if I can do this. So if I, and then, there we go. It's a bit grainy, but it's readable. So yeah, you can kind of see here, like, so you've got your grazing hit, if you roll a 15. Precise hit, roll 18 plus and 21 plus. Now this is on a d20, but with modifiers, so that's how you can get your 21 plus. So if you're really good at firearms, it might be that you're rolling an 8 or a 9. I'm guessing here, an 8 or a 9 in order to get that. 1 second. And then bumping that up with whatever your modifiers are. I haven't seen how the modifiers work yet, so that is me speculating. But yeah, roll a die pool. So the example here is you're rolling 6 dice. You need 15 to hit. And after modifiers, you've got a 15, a 16, a 19, and a 24. So your 15 and your 16 are grazing hits, and your 19 is a precise hit, and your 24 is a crit. So this explains how that works. So I guess the degree of your success infers where you're hitting them as well. So yeah, 1 minor wound and 1 cardiovascular, and then 2 minor wounds and 2 cardiovascular. Massive blood loss. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting, I think. I don't know if you agree. But if you're wanting to get into that kind of visceral combat, that's pretty cool. It's a nice way an interesting way of doing it. There is magic as well. Magic seems to be pretty similar in that you're still rolling a dice pool, and your spell will determine how it behaves. So on the given one, if you roll below a 13, then you get a spell rebound. So it's like a crit fail on a magic attack, basically, so it hits you instead. Whereas you get 13 plus is success, 21 plus is overcast, which is you got 1 spell rebound, 2 successful casts, and 1. Oh no, I understand. So overcast is like your critical success, but if you roll a 4, 15, a 16, and a 28, then you've got effectively 1 fail, 1 success. 2 successes and 1 critical success. Is the way to look at it. And then overcast gives you 2 successes, but it also gives you minor wounds, or gives them minor wounds and systemic wounds. Oh no, I tell a lie. If you do overcast, you've overcast the spell. That is interesting. Apologies, I didn't spot that earlier. So you get your critical success of 2 wounds or whatever that is you're doing with the spell, but you've put too much energy into it, so you actually get some blowback. So that on top of the fail that you already rolled earlier on. So basically what I'm reading from this is that using magic, and it talks about neural stuff, so I guess this is kind of somewhat like cyberpunky type magic. So techno mage type thing, if you're a Babylon 5 fan like I am. Yeah, you run the risk of putting too much in or not enough in and getting a failure. So you really have that sweet spot, 13 to 21, that you're aiming for. Interesting. More interesting than I realised. Starting character is easy. Pick a background, do your class, and roll for your stats. And your classes are Bastions, Spectres, Synths, Scions, Vitalists, and Specialists. The art in this is stunning. I really do like it a lot. And then you've got your character sheets, which look really interesting. And okay, gives you an idea of your body in terms of when you're getting wounded and stuff, I guess. They're talking about VTT integration. I don't think they've highlighted which VTTs they're going to use. I guess if they use alchemy, then actually they don't really have to necessarily spend any money on it, but Roll20 and Foundry and stuff will cost them. Exile in the Solar Reach. The setting. Shall I read it? Shall I? Go on then. Humanity lost Earth 2 centuries ago in a grand cataclysm shrouded in mystery, a creeping electromagnetic wave emanating from both poles shut down all electronic systems, and then massive earthquakes and shockwaves shattered the ground, covering the skies with ash and dust. Many still long to return to Earth, but all attempts at communication or even discoveries into the reason for the rapture have resulted in disappointment or death. Orphaned from their home planet, some managed to escape on massive ships called arcs at the last moment, and some had already made the void their home in centuries prior. The survivors of the Exodus first banded together in camaraderie to make the Solar Reach their new home. So I guess that's where we're playing. Before long, fingers of accusation were pointed. Spellcasters were shunned by some of the communities, blamed for Earth's fall, whereas other communities viewed magic users as the saviours of their arcs. The widening divide in society, politics, laws, and customs of this new era sparked debates and ultimately violent conflicts. After decades of war, a faction called the Inheritors were able to sweep through the system and establish a semblance of order by eliminating opposition and manoeuvring the more tenacious resistance into ceasefire arrangements. As decades passed, some lingered on the hope that their return to Earth was imminent. Others, precious few, already realised that the Exodus was not an event that was unexpected. In fact, it was expected and perhaps even planned. I'm not going to read the next bit. I don't want to. There's so much of it. But it gives you an idea of the flavour. So there is a lot. If you have the time to devote to this, there's a whole world. Much like the Genesis, much like Coriolis. This is a campaign that could take years. And there's so much content. I mean, look at this. 200 smackaroonies, 200 secret pledge level. What's secret about it? Discord community only. Ooh, shipping handle through. So right, let's look at the rewards, shall we? 3 adventure zines. Nice. So they're like little adventures. The GM screen. Cards, dice. A deluxe map. It's rollable. I mean, most maps are rollable, but I presume they mean that's printed on fabric, which is lovely. We're a big fan of those. Deluxe map pack. Excuse me. A printed fillable character sheet. Full set of character sheets, items and spells on a bestiary, and empty sheets to make your own additions on the go. A medallion, a collector's box. I'm not going to lie, this is pretty cool. And in terms of the actual levels, let's have a look. Let's do this instead. Let's hit the rewards button. Boom. So early bird, collector's box set, $200. Ultimate set. You get all the offerings in a Kickstarter exclusive box. With the collector's box set, you'll find both core rulebooks, 3 adventure zines, a GM screen, bestiary, spell and item cards, Astra Arcanum resin dice set of 60 20s, a deluxe Solar Reach map, and a deluxe encounter map pack. The single PDF is $30. Pay attention, Nightwatch that we were speaking to earlier. $30 for the PDF. That's an appropriate price. Digital library, 4 items for $50. I could be wrong, but it feels like that's more than we were getting in that previous pledge level. A single hardcover print is $60. You can have any book, pick a book, any book, hardcover, and a PDF of that book. A hardcover bundle, which is where you get the hardcover of the GM guide, the core, I can't remember what that was, we'll have another look in a second, and digital library, and the zines in PDF, and the collector's box set, which is the collector's box, the bestiary cards, the map pack, the Solar Reach map, designer made GM screen, item cards, fillable character sheets, resin dice, adventure zines, and other stuff, spell cards, the core. I'm gonna have to double check what that was because it's completely gone from my brain. Maybe I didn't read it out. Yeah, I mean, if you're intrigued by this, if you like the sound of the setting, then I think it's the way, isn't it? It's really interesting. So great, unique setting. Probably wants to be competing with almost with Coriolis in terms of the way that we're dealing with a kind of an exodus from the previous planet. I think this looks really, really nice. I'm still not quite sure what the core is. I'm looking as quickly as I can, but it's not obvious. Now, what I will tell you is that, here we go, core rulebook and the GM guide. So is the GM guide like a reduced thing, or is this again like the Genesis where you have it probably is like that, where you have one book that's got like all your enemies and all your, like say your monster manual and your GM's guide, and then the core rulebook is more like your player's handbook that has most of the rules but doesn't have necessarily all of the baddies and shit. It's probably like that. There's one thing that I'm concerned about with this game, and I'm just going to switch over to the other view to show you this. So I downloaded the starter set, the quick start PDF rather, and I'll just share that with you now. And this is very much in keeping with the style that we saw in the Kickstarter, so no complaints about consistency. But you will see that they have this layout. This is very early Free League in terms of layout, very graphics heavy. There's a lot of stuff. Looks great. This reminds me actually more of Shadows of Estren, which I've got down here somewhere. And the way, not in terms of font or typeface, but in terms of the way that it's presented. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But I do think, in all honesty, that when you get to these pages, it's kind of hard to read. And that is a put off for me. Number one, I am a bit colorblind, so it's more difficult for me to easily see the difference between these colors. I can see them. There is enough contrast in them that I can see them, but it doesn't make these boxes probably have as much contrast as someone that has full color vision would have. So I find this kind of messy and it hurts my eyes a bit. And again with this, I find this writing quite hard to read. Maybe that's a color vision thing. Maybe it's just a UI, UX, user experience thing. If you've got great color vision, then yeah, let us know. Let us know what you think of this and whether or not this is just unique to me or to those of us with poor color vision, or if actually it kind of sucks. I mean, this is slightly better, but I will say that if you compare this layout to the more recent books from Free League, like for example the new Coriolis The Great Dark, the layout is much cleaner and it's much more legible. The Genesis is also much more legible than this, and that is probably the biggest reason why personally I won't be backing this. which is a bit of a shame, really. That's the primary reason. It feels to me like they need to get some accessibility thoughts on this and consider readability, which is something that a lot of publishers haven't been doing, actively, at least proactively, but I think it's pretty important. Yeah, it's a shame. This is the one detractor for me. I just think this is really ugly. That said, if you can tolerate this, if you actually think that this is fine, then number one, I am actually dead jealous, to be honest with you, because I wish I was in that position. But if that's not a problem for you, and if you like this setting, I think that the product is fantastic. So going back to this, we're looking at, I would say, yeah, delve into what the secret pledge level is. If you're interested, jump on to the Discord and see if it's not too late to grab that. I would be super tempted if it wasn't for that readability thing. I would love to play this game, but I tend to be a GM and I don't think I want to run it. I don't want to read all of that in that layout. But please check it out. I think that the box set, the fill level, as we lovingly call it, is the way forward. So that's the top level here. Jump on right now, it's $200. Otherwise it's $239. So $200 in today's, our dollar is better than your dollar. Wow, the dollar has really fallen. I don't think the pound has grown. £150 right now, $200. That's a surprise. That's relatively recent. I guess there's a lot going on over there, right? Yeah, for that collector's box set, I actually think that's amazing value for what you're getting. And it's just unfortunate that I'm not going to be able to benefit from it because I find it really illegible. Right, anyway, that was Astra Arcanum. What did you think? I think it looks phenomenally good. If it wasn't for that user experience, the readability, then I would be supremely tempted to back that. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really great, and I'm confident 100% that product is going to be out of this world from 99% of people who buy it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've jumped on board with it. Come and talk to us on Discord. We'll get the link down below on the YouTube and all that jazz. I hope you've had fun. If you have, then please consider joining, liking, subscribing, commenting, all that jazz. I guess that's it for now. Come and talk to us. Come to Oktoberfest. 35 people in a pub, staying relatively sober, but having a few drinks, playing dark narrative role-playing games. You can expect probably some Dungeon Crawl Classics or something like that, but most likely we've got some World of Darkness. We're going to have a Transformers role-playing game, which is going to be wild. There's going to be a bunch of things. And if you want to run something, the themes tend to be dark horror, because it's Oktoberfest, we're near Halloween in October. Or this year we voted that the theme of the exclusive t-shirt, and therefore the overall theme of Oktoberfest, is B-movies. How cool is that? So yeah, your Mars Attacks type stuff, or even your Hammer Horror, that's kind of a B-movie as well, I guess. Talk to you soon. Until next time, I hope your dice rolls are way better than mine. Take care, everyone.